away, I have the privilege of introducing our keynote speaker, Mr. Timothy Fales. For nearly 2 decades, Mr. Fales has taught geography at Flower Mound 9th grade campus. In his classroom, maps are not just about borders. They are about people. They are about story. They help students understand not only the world, but their place in it. He is a proud graduate of Krum High School and the University of North Texas. He began his career at Flower Mound High School and later helped open the 9th grade campus, where he now serves as the Social Studies Department Chair. Mr. Fales teaches students to think critically, to separate fact from fiction, and, perhaps most importantly, to disagree well. His goal is simple: shrink the world for 90 minutes and send students back into it more curious, more empathetic, and more hopeful. In 2025, he was recognized with multiple honors for excellence in the classroom. In 2026, he was named the Texas Secondary Teacher of the Year, a distinction that reflects not only his skill, but his impact. However, you ask him, he will tell you that the real reward is the community of educators he works alongside and the students who keep him growing. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Timothy Fales.
Right. I was looking at some of the honorees, and as you heard, I grew up in Krum, so I have a few scores to settle looking at this list. Brock, who's Boyd ISD, I had a score there to settle. Bridgeport ISD, if you're here, I wasn't happy with y'all for a little bit. Now, this is just for my own benefit. Is Leslie Barnes, do we have Leslie? Now, Leslie, you don't know me. I don't know you. But I've always pronounced it Alvoid. What do you say? Oh, that's wrong. You pronounce the R? Are you from there? Oh, okay. Have you run across people that don't pronounce the R? I've just wondered if we've been saying it wrong my whole life. Well, I'm going to give you my contact information, and I'm going to have you ask around, okay? All right. 'Cause now I'm even more curious. All right. Well, anyway. It's great to see so many small schools on the list. You know, growing up in a rural environment like so many of you teach in, it's great because I always thought I would be in a rural district like Krum. That's what I knew, and you know, wouldn't you know it, I'm at one of the 50 biggest schools in Texas. So that's just how it goes sometimes, right? All right, well, that was enough of my grievances, I guess, and questions. Don't worry, I'll have more. All right, but good morning. It's great to be here on a Wednesday morning, right? I'm sure your sub-plans are all excellent. I hope mine are. It's a great honor to be here at Weatherford College, celebrating you exemplary teachers. My country accent really struggles with the word exemplary. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to do my best. Before we go any further, I would like to address the elephant in the room, or since we're here at Weatherford College, maybe the coyote in the room. And that is, you heard the introduction correctly. My last name is Fales, like fails a test. And I've been an educator for 19 years, and I've made peace with a really hard reality. No matter how good of a teacher I am, I mean, I could be the next Aristotle. They'll never name a school after me. It's not going to happen. Maybe I'll get the ISS room. Maybe DAEP. But the whole school, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now, looking around this room full of exemplary teachers, it can be intimidating, even for someone as outstanding as I am. But I'll try to go on. You know, looking at this room, I'm sure there's a bird that I thought was going to hit the window, but they survived. You see, as a kid, I was diagnosed with something called ADHD. Are you all familiar? So if I ramble, don't be afraid to get me back on track. Anyway, speaking to a group like this, I just know all your teaks are laminated. All your data is beautifully color-coded. Y'all probably take attendance on time. I don't know if there's any social studies teachers in the room, but at my campus, we get the alert of who didn't take attendance, and every day it's social studies teachers on the list. I don't know what's wrong with us, but we're the ones on the list every stinking day. But here, that's neither here nor there. So when it comes to exemplary, amazing teachers, I fit in with the unsupervised PLC people. Those are kind of my crowd, and you know, the people that gather without any principals or anybody that's watching us. So that's my area of expertise. But no matter what, I'm honored to be here with all of you, exemplary teachers. Because you're my people, educators putting in the work day after day. You understand the student who needs a little extra support, but doesn't need an IEP. You notice the coworker doing their best while their personal life is hanging by a thread. You see the paraprofessional quietly doing the work of 3 people on a salary powered by donuts, Sonic, and sheer will. You are the crowd that shows up when things turn chaotic, emotionally charged, slightly unhinged, and then come back and do it all again the very next day. And today, while we celebrate excellence, I want to talk about something a little different. Not strategy, not best practices, not rigor, not test scores, but a simple warning sign that I have hanging in my room. Every student can see it, everybody can see it when they come in, and it wasn't anything that really I thought that much about when I hung it in my room. It was just something to make me laugh. And it says, "Don't grow up, it's a trap." And yes, part of it's me acting like a fool. Part of it's my admiration for Admiral Akbar in Star Wars. Now, to be clear, I'm not anti-adulthood, even though I pretend not to be one most of the time. I know bills must be paid, emails must be answered, even though my inbox looks like the trade days in Bowie. Who's from Bowie? Do they still do the trade days at Bowie? God, I love that. Some of my best memories are me, my dad, and my grandpa going to the trade days at Bowie. But if you've been, that's what my inbox looks like. Professional development must be endured? Is that? Sorry, somebody here might be super into that. But growing up in this profession sometimes comes with an unspoken expectation. Be more serious, be more polished, be more mature. Somewhere along the way, we make quiet trade-offs. Curiosity for efficiency, humor for professionalism, joy for survival. We start acting like the very qualities that made us great teachers in the first place, the qualities that made our classrooms vibrant, are unnecessary add-ons. Energy, playfulness, wonder, a willingness to be a little bit ridiculous. That is the trap, because at its best, it's powered by perfection. It's not powered by perfection. I was like, that doesn't sound right. It's powered by connections. Like many of you, I've fallen into another version of the trap, the countdown. We count down to Friday, to the 3-day weekend, to spring break, to summer. By April, some classrooms look like NASA mission control, counting down the days until we launch the kids into the next grade. When I was a teenager, I once whined to my dad, "I wish it was spring break already." Now picture my dad. He worked outside for 31 years installing telephone lines. For those of you under 30, you see the telephone, it used to be attached to a cord. And that cord was attached to more cords outside. And in our kitchen, as I'm sure many of you did, we had about a 30-foot cord kitchen phone. And you know, with the coil, see what you did to me? With the coiled cord that was stretched beyond belief. My mom could cook dinner, do laundry, yell at us, and never hang up from my grandma. You were literally tethered to the rest of the world. Anyway, I was complaining about wishing it was spring break. And he looked at me and said, "Don't wish your life away." Which, didn't make any sense to me. I'm going to paraphrase what he said because I'm sure it was full of not for school appropriate language. He said, "I've spent 30 years doing a job I hate, outside, in the cold, in the heat, in the rain, always wishing for the weekend, wishing for my next vacation time." And on his vacation time, he didn't want to do anything except not work. And I have no good memories because all I ever wanted was for the day to end. I want you to do a job you love, something that makes you want to get up every single morning and enjoy being there. The words were simple, but there was real weight behind it. I couldn't let myself fall into that trap, not when he was counting on me. Because most of our lives don't happen on breaks. They happen on ordinary work days, not during summers, not during 3-day weekends. They happen on random Wednesdays in February. And if we're mentally living in the future, we miss the moments that make this profession extraordinary. The funny comment a student makes, especially at the expense of another teacher, that always gets me. The coworker who finally gets a breakthrough they've been working towards. The child who finally reads a full page without stopping, learns to tie their shoes, makes the A team in basketball, or gets into their first choice college. Too often we fixate on the hardest moment, the worst day, the pile of papers on our desk. But if we aren't present, we miss the wins that really matter. So why do I keep the sign in my classroom? Don't grow up. It's a trap. Because students do not need us to be smaller, quieter, more beige versions of ourselves. They need adults who are fully formed and fully alive. Adults who still laugh loudly, who still get excited about ideas, who aren't afraid to try something new, even if it means the whole lesson falls apart, who still see the world with curiosity. It's important for us to stay in touch with what brought us into this profession. Yes, I'm really going to go there. I'm going to talk about my why. I know, I'm sorry, y'all. But hopefully not in the terrible way you hear about it at professional development with somebody who hasn't taught in 20 years. Apologies if that's you. Somewhere along this journey of being the greatest teacher in the state of Texas, and having to interview and talk about things over and over and over, you get asked that question a lot. Why did you become a teacher? Why did you do this? And, like you, my why probably has evolved along the way. Why you did this, whether you're an elementary, middle, or high school teacher or in college. why you started this journey is probably different than why you continue it. And one of the things I've noticed throughout this process is, which takes me back to the sign, there was a part of me that never really wanted to grow up. And working in the school kept that child version of me, that little student that lives in me, that ADHD kid that's worried about the bird out there, keeps him young and alive and curious. Usually when people would ask me, why, and they did this at the Teacher of the Year thing I had to go to in Round Rock, they ask us all like 60 of us. And I said, I asked us to tell us our why. And I said, well, fame and fortune, of course. But I have since thought a lot about it, and that ADHD kid inside of me, he wants to learn still. That lifelong learner's a real thing. Create, and shockingly, he still wants to be the center of attention. He didn't mind his desk being moved to sit by the teacher. I don't know how many of y'all went to school in the 90s, but that was me. That you can't sit by anybody because you talk to everybody, so I'm going to move you by the teacher's desk. I was like, sweet. I'm going to talk to the teacher the whole time. This is perfect. Not going to hold me back. So every single day, I get to go to work in an environment where curiosity is normal, questions are constant, and laughter is unavoidable. This is a gift. Early in my career, I thought being a real adult professional meant becoming exactly like the best teacher in the school. A friend of mine, Rachel Baker, I thought, now she's a real teacher. That's what real teaching is. She'd be mortified to know I was talking about her. But she was brilliant at one-on-one instruction. Rachel, she's no longer with us. She didn't die. She went to a different district. She's dead to me, but as far as I know, she's living and doing well. I wouldn't know. I blocked her calls. So Rachel didn't enjoy the whole group aspect of teaching. We both taught geography. She didn't enjoy the big presentation, the lecture part of teaching, if you will. So she would do her need-to-knows real quick, and then she would get her students working on individual things. And then she would work the room, is what I call it. She would get to work with individual students, checking in one-on-one. What does this student need? How can I help this individual student? Is this child have everything they need? And every single student in her classroom felt like they had a one-on-one teacher every day. And I said, that is incredible. I said, that is teaching. So I said, I'm going to do that. I could do that. She's not special. I can do that. So I changed my lesson. I cut down my lecture to 15, 20 minutes, probably closer to 40 minutes. Shocking, I know. And then I got my kids working. All right, now we have 90-minute classes, okay? So I've got a long time my kids can work. And my kids are in tables of 4. So I hit my first table. And I'm checking in. How's it going? What are y'all up to? So I'm talking to them, making sure everything's okay. And I'd leave that table and say, all right, y'all have a good handle on things. I'm gonna go see everybody else. Well, we've got about 15 minutes of class left. I've been with that table for 40 minutes. They've done nothing because I've talked to them about everything except the lesson. And what have the other 24 been doing? No idea. So it wasn't for me. That clearly wasn't my style. What became clear was I lost my voice trying to be like what I thought was the best style teaching. I'm not Rachel Baker, and I assure you, she is no Tim Fales. You see, my strength is in storytelling, high energy, and what I call main character energy. The trap is thinking professionalism requires imitation, but excellence requires authenticity. Your students don't need a replica, they just need you. Here is what 19 years has taught me. Joy in this profession does not usually show up by accident. It shows up when we deliberately resist the trap, when we allow ourselves to be playful, creative, human. Now this comes to the portion of the speech where you're either going to hate me or love me. For me, the joy comes in the form of cereal, the food, which none was served here for our breakfast, but that's okay. So, as a 90s kid, which I thought was the best ever time to grow up, my parents, they didn't care what we ate. So I had every kind of cereal in the world. But every semester, everybody has their own first day of school routine, right? You're getting to know you activity with your students. Well, mine always involves, tell me your name, tell me your favorite cereal, which they think is just ridiculous. Why would anybody ask me that? Why would anybody want to know that? And instantly, they already know this class is going to be different than anything they've ever been in before, okay? And they're caught off guard, but they're interested instantly. My favorite part of it is I get to judge their cereal choices. So I want you to think about your favorite cereal. Don't pick an old person cereal. If you say Special K, you're not getting one of these trophies. We're taking it away. Okay? If you don't like cereal, you're not getting one of these trophies. All right, just turn to your neighbor and tell them your favorite cereal. All right. Now you can rat out your neighbor. Did any of your neighbors say an old person cereal? She said an old person cereal? What did she say? Cracklin' Oat Bran. Okay, I actually like that. Is it the little squares, right? Yes, okay, I actually like that one. Did anybody else have an old person cereal that you're going to rat them out? Okay, how many of your neighbors, what was hers? Without frosting?
Oh, no.
No. Now, are you eligible for one of these or you're a guest? A guest, okay, so we don't have to revoke her trophy. Okay. It was close. Now, why don't they frost both sides of the frosted mini wheats? How hard is it? We have the ability, clearly. How many of your neighbors said Cinnamon Toast Crunch? Okay. Cinnamon Toast Crunch is like the Chili's of cereal. It pleases everybody. You don't know what you want, just go to Chili's. You don't know what cereal you want, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Did anybody say Cheerios? That one's bad. I don't like it. But you do you. My favorite, Fruity Pebbles. Yes, I just learned, because you don't want to learn how the sausage is made. I just learned Fruity Pebbles are just crushed white rice, dyed, with sugar added to them. Yeah. I don't think there's any fruit involved. It's a ruse. Now, I knew all Fruit Loops were the same flavor. I did know that. Have y'all had Fruit Loops with marshmallows? It's a delicacy. It's right up there with caviar. Anyway, so I bring up cereal because I love it, obviously, but one year we had an advisory class. For those of you that have to do a homeroom or an advisory, you know what I mean. But we only met twice a week, and they were kids that were not in our classes. They were just random kids, and we had to do a lot of the required teachings with them. Suicide prevention, dating violence, all the stuff that I really want my 9th grade teacher talking to me about if I was a freshman. And I was like, well, they're not going to want to hear from me about this stuff. So I thought, I've got to get to know these people and, get some buy-in from them. And just having a study hall on empty days is not going to do it. So the cereal party was born. I just said, once a month we'll just have a cereal party. And that became just a ritual of ours, and different students would bring in different cereal. We started keeping the boxes. And so now in my room, we would cut out the front of the box and we would put them up on the wall. So now I have over 150 boxes on the wall. No repeats, by the way. In that year, we had a new student move from Korea. Barely spoke English, and we asked him his favorite cereal. He said, I've never had it. Well, we're going to change that today. So we decided together we would give him Lucky Charms, which I thought was a good intro cereal. He said it was good, but too sweet for breakfast. He said it wasn't a breakfast food. I said, okay. But we took that moment to have a lasting memory that at least I remember, and hopefully he will remember. I turned cereal into a project we do in geography. You do all of this and suddenly you're the cereal guy on campus. I don't know how it happened. But those moments built relationships. Those relationships built trust. That trust built engagement. And through all of that, joy sneaks in. Refusing to grow up is not a solo act. Joy rarely survives in isolation. This profession is too hard. We need each other. The teammate who listens, the coworker who makes you laugh, your team that reminds you you're not alone. Some days we generate joy. Other days we borrow it from the teacher next door. And often that's the very same person we run to when something wonderful happens or when something goes terribly wrong. One day you're going to blink. 10 years will have passed. Students will grow up. And then they may forget the assignments. They may forget the content, whether we like it or not. But they will never forget how they felt in your classroom. If they felt safe, if they felt seen, if your classroom carried energy, warmth, humor, joy. So to this extraordinary room of exemplary educators, protect your curiosity, protect your humor, protect the parts of you that make this work joyful. Stay playful, stay human, stay a little bit ridiculous. And remember this, when in doubt, choose connection over perfection. And whatever you do, don't grow up, because it really is a trap. Congratulations to you all.